Hi, it's your friend Keshav again with some new developments in the machine learning world with Azure. So something interesting that comes up if you kind of just look around with machine learning on the Azure portal, you find you would lead to the experimentation and the model management being flagged as being retired. So yeah, it was so far Microsoft's flagship AI ML platform for productionization and also the development. Usually, so on and so forth. All of the development was done on experimentation services, along with the workbench being the flagship, and then the model management being used for the productionization of the model. So yeah, so as Microsoft says, it's going to be retired. So what's next? What's coming up? So that's all this video is all about here, and the next 10 minutes will turn you wiser. So I would really request for your attention for the next 10 minutes, and help you get to know more what Azure has to offer in terms of the new machine learning capabilities. So yeah, again, so Microsoft has completely changed and revolutionized the product and come up with a new fantastic service for machine learning capabilities and productionization. And guess what, it's much better now and with much easier to develop, easy to collaborate, and all of it in the next 10 minutes. So awesome. So let's get started. So let me pull out and create something which says machine machine learning service workspace. Yeah, you guessed it right. So that's the new name, and it's in preview, and that's the new product that's going to be just one for all the three of the experimentation, the workbench, and the model management. And guess what, it's much better than what was earlier, and we will see all of it now. So let's call it ML Azure demo. So let me just quickly use the existing resource group, that's my data science, and yeah, let's create this, and I will just get started once this gets kicking in. Yeah, and in the matter of minutes the deployment is in progress, and soon we shall have it. So yeah, we're there. So we got it. So let's pin that to dashboard, and guess what, that's that's already there. So for us to get started now, just to give you a background, so this is machine learning, we should say machine learning service workspace, and kind of has the entire of it. But what serves as the backbone, which Microsoft has developed a all new Python as SDK, which will serve for all of its machine learning needs. So now if I can just take you back to give you a brief background as what is going on here, is a complete new solution which has Azure Machine Learning SDK for Python, and that's like a completely new revolutionizing work that that Microsoft has basically done for with all of its new packages being written, and all of the code is actually for you to try your hands on, and that is the backbone of the entire of the Microsoft's new machine learning uh, platform. So yeah, I'll kind of walk you through with all of these and with an example and demo. So let's get started with all of this. Lots to play in next 10 minutes. So this is the platform, and it has actually all of it. So in earlier, if you would have used machine learning, Azure Machine Learning, you would have used experimentation service and its desktop app called Workbench. So you would have used this Workbench to basically develop your models, and then kind of productionized it with another version of a model management. So that was the way. But now everything is in one place, so you can experiment, you can build your model images and deploy it. But essentially all of the concepts that kind of you were used is still remains the same, in terms of mostly remains the same actually, and is integrated with a Python SDK, which allows you to do development in the local as well as in your Azure mode, in a cloud mode. So essentially what the workspace is, actually you can create an experiment or a set of experiments within a workspace. For, let's say, you're just trying to, within a retail, you're working on the finance side and you want to build some forecasting models, so that can be a workspace for you, and it might have a set of finance prediction models or forecasting models within this workspace, and you could just productionize that, uh, develop it, productionize it, and kind of scan it through. So okay, let's get started, let's get kicking with this, but just to give you give you a background, I think we will be visiting all of these points, how each of them have been actually productionalized, or each of them have been revolutionized by Microsoft with this new workspace. So let's first look at a very basic model. So this is a model, nothing to do with Azure. This is just a scikit-learn model, which is on the basis of the diabetes dataset. The diabetes dataset has some of the input columns as the gender, age, BMI, BP, and some of the blood serum samples, and the measures, and it predicts the glucose, the blood sugar levels. So that's your predictor variable. So based on that, you would want to create a model, and we would like to formulate a model to be able to predict the diabetics, or the blood sugar levels for a person based on these input predictor variables. And let's try with a very simple ridge model. So let's say this is your data set, and we are trying to, so first we just try with a learning rate of 0.03. That's our alpha, and we build a model, and we get the MSE, or the mean squared error, as something like this, 3424. And then we try to predict the values. The next thing that we would, or data scientist would want to know is if by changing or altering alpha, my learning rate, maybe I would have skipped the local minima. So I would want to optimize this further with the right alpha. So based on that, I would want to experiment with the range of alpha values. So yeah, I'm just iterating over the alpha values, and I'm trying to find out the optimal alpha, which gives me the minimum mean squared error. That's the idea. So with this, and I'm just trying to append the values I iterated over, and I'm trying to find out the mean uh, alpha and the MSEs. So let's, yeah, that's, so my alpha is actually not 0.3, which 0.03, which I started with. 0.4 serves my purpose with my minimum MSEs. So let's plot it, and that's what I see for all the iterations over. At 0.4, I kind of get the minimum MSE, or the mean squared errors. So that's a very simple experiment, isn't it? There's nothing much there's not a lot of fancy experiments. We could have tried different algorithms, but the algorithm is not the essence. We are trying to understand the Azure platform, and we'll use the same example to be able to productionalize this on Azure. That's the whole intent. So yeah, let's jump over again onto the Azure portal, and start looking at Azure, what Azure has to offer here. So this was just the first page. So that's what, so we have the experiments, the compute, model, images, deployments, and all of the activities right here for us to look at. So let's get kicking. The first step is, currently we don't have any experiments so far, so let's open Azure Notebooks. Now what is Azure Notebooks? So it's an integrated Microsoft's Azure development platform, and let's just sign in here. Let's look out for the libraries. Just gonna, oh, I just need to sign it off. Okay, and I need to sign with my personal live account, because this is a personal one. So yeah, so let's just jump in with my live account and use my Azure Notebook. So there we are with all the libraries. So to get started, let me try to clone this library quickly, and let's call it AZML demo. again. So yeah, as you can see, there's this library, and it has got all of these files. Now I'll walk you over these files, but essentially let's just start with the most basic one. So you would need a basic config.json file that you need to upload. So basically uh, you would just have to use the subscription ID, the resource group, and the workspace name. So the subscription ID is that of my subscription here. And how do I get that? That's very simple. Let's just say for the subscriptions that I have, for my work. So it's just this subscription ID. You just have to kind of use this, and it will guide you to your subscription ID. There you go. That's your subscription ID, and then you would give your and then your workspace name that we have just created. So that's it. Um, so let's just go back, and we call it ML Azure Demo. So I will have to update this value, and let's just yeah, I think let's just download and then upload it back right back. So that's it, and yes, so let's just go back. And let's then just try to first let's just delete this. There you go, ML Azure Demo. So I guess that was it. Yeah, okay, just hold on. Yeah, so let's just take a look, and there you go. That's the config file. Once your config file is ready, I think we can even delete all of these files, but it really doesn't matter to us. We have cloned it. We'll just see it free from the top. So let me just clean this up for you so that and even the score file, let's just clean it up, and all we need is the train notebook, and let's get started with the training sample. Okay, that's the notebook, and it essentially contains the same code that we were actually trying to draw an experiment on, but this is using the Python SDK. So the first step is to log on. You would just log on into your Azure account, and yeah, so this is the link, and let's just give this code. There you go. Awesome. So once we go back, it automatically kind of reads our subscriptions and other details. The next thing is to just take care and see if the container services are active and registered or not. So this is just to check it, and if it is not, we might just have to register, and this is the command. So I'll just skip this since it is already registered for me. uh, the next thing is there we start with the Azure ML SDK. So the first step, so Azure ML Core is actually the complete basics on which we kind of have the ML SDK, and that's the core version. You might just want to run and see if your version is active and what is the version number. And then we can initialize our workspace. So workspace is actually initialized from the config file. Again, going back to the config file, what we have is the subscription, the resource group, the workspace. Based on that, we'll have our workspace defined. That means we are working on this workspace. So if you, even if you're working on your local mode, which is not with the Azure notebooks, you can simply install the Python SDK and point to all of this code and just get started. So it is dual. You can work in the local mode as well as on the online notebooks. Next step is, we can just set up a new experiment, and let's say new experiment to test end-to-end this diabetes, whatever we were building a model on. So let's just keep the name. uh, this is nothing but the code that we had actually written, so I'll just not explain a lot on this. Again, this is the part of the model, and again, here what you see is on the SDK we can just tag this experiment with onto the workspace and give the experiment name, and then start logging. So you can tag the experiment, you can run, you can log the alpha, you can log the ridge, log other matrices that you would want. So we are logging the alpha value and the MSC, the error here, and then we are just trying to create a model pickle file for the model. So once we run this, um, whenever the run completes, we can just call run, and it will point us to the Azure link for the details. So let's just visit our Azure portal just to see some of the details here. Again, let's just log in and see where it takes us on the portal. So yeah, essentially it'll just give us some of the details about the experiment, and it'll, within the Azure demo workspace, we'll be seeing the experiment details. There you go. We have the details of the first experiment. It has created a run ID, and the alpha and the MSC are kind of logged here. So let's just go back. You will find an experiment here with the name. So there you go. That's our experiment, and under the experiment we'll have all the details of the alphas and the runs and how many runs have happened actually, and there's the tag description of my first run. Awesome. That's pretty nice, and it's all integrated here, and no need to go and work on a development mode on my local. And the next part was sweeping. So we were trying to check a range of alphas and find the optimal MSCs, or the lowest MSC for a particular alpha. That was the intent. So let's just run this code, and again this will also kind of log the alpha and the MSCs for all of the different alphas that we run, the range that we run for. So yeah, you will find now at least 20 to 21 runs within the range that'll happen, and for all of them we'll find a range of alphas and MSCs. So let's just, I'll just pause this and be right back. Yeah, the run is through, and so if once the run is through, we would like to know the details about the experiment. So yeah, again, let's go back to the portal and see. We should see some more details for each of the runs. So yeah, or I could have refreshed this as well. So let's just go here and check for the experiment, and if I go there, I'll be able to find all of the runs. Yeah, now you can see there are 21, because the 20 runs for this time, and the last one was the first solitary run that happened. So all of this, and plus we have tagged for the best values. So that's amazing, isn't it? So that's great. I think that's the same message. Yeah, exactly. So now let's just go back and continue. The next thing is the best. So out of this, we would want the least MSE to be picked up for the productionalization. I mean that would be the intent. So we have optimized it, and that's our optimal value. Now let's try to pick the best one, and that's all we are doing here. We are just iterating over the experiments and then picking up the best one um, for the run. So yeah, just the moment. Maybe I can just pause this to save it. Yeah, we're through. Now let's just try to, and that's again it's the same alpha 0.4 that we are getting here, and the MSE values. So yeah, that's the best one. So let's just try to, for the run, let's just tag the run, and we have tagged it for the best one. And now quickly, if I were to show what has happened here amongst the experiment and for all the runs, we will find our run which will have, there you go, the best one. So the 10th run with the maze is the best one. So additionally, the important part is for all of this run, let's say when I add a chart, okay, so let's just call it MSC. Okay, so let's just give the alpha, and then let's just try to give sorry, let's just see, there you go. So that can be a chart, and we can quickly just visualize the same. And let's say if I just add what was the run, so again for so we can see the run number, and or let's say the alpha and the run number, there you go. So we basically now or if we want to just go on a maze value, we can get. So yeah, I mean this is just an example that these visualizations kind of will help you get more insights upon all your experiments, and then choose or pick the right one. So yeah, I mean that's just a whole idea. So once this through, let's just plot again the same thing here, just to cross validate our intuition here. So that's about it. Just a moment. Yeah, as it said, I just wanted to save some time for you, so I'll just keep on pausing wherever it takes a long time to process. Yeah, there you go. So point 4, and next steps actually are the, now we are done with the experimentation phase. Now the productionalization part actually starts from here. So yeah, let's just pay special attention here. So right now we do not have any compute or models kind of saved, or images, or even in deployments or anything. So right now is just an experiment that we have done. And if I can go back here in the library, I should be able to find the model, the config, and the outputs here. So excellent. Now let's just jump on and create the best model, I mean save the best model in the output folder, and that's the part. So we are just trying to get the version for the best model, and then we're just going to save it on the output directories. Additionally, as you would have kind of previously, it used to be you would have to have a scoring file. So we'll just use the scoring script here to save on a scoring file. Just to give you a hang of it, if you've not used Azure Machine Learning Model Management earlier, you would need a scoring and a train file here. If you see here, there used to be a score and a train file, and it's the concept still remains the same more or less here, just that we're doing it online. And it has the scoring file essentially has a init and the run. So run is actually where init is initialized by the container instance only once and basically loads the model from the path, and then the raw or the run file actually passes this data to the model and gets a prediction out of it. So that's all that it does. So let's just try to, you know, add that to our config directory. So if we just go back and let's just check this out. So we have a score file and we have the model all added right now. So yeah, so we good. The score file has been created. The next is the dependencies and the conda file. So basically whatever dependencies we would like to add here, this is the place. So right now we just need scikit-learn, and we'll add it to the YAML file. So yeah, if you just check that, you would have do I have a refresh here? No, not really. I have to go back again and again on this one. It should now also add the YAML file, my environment YAML, exactly. And yeah, so let's just keep going and try to. Now next is the local or the Docker container mode. So if you would have used model management, the local mode or the Docker container mode, which was for the developers to kind of test, is what is again being used in is essentially in the first phase. So now the developer is ready to kind of deploy. So that will be the first phase of just giving the memories and the cores and doing in the container instance. So that's the first part, and we will just be passing the score, the Python and the conda file for operationalizing in the local mode. So let's do that. This might take a while, so I'll just pause after executing this and I'll get back shortly. Yep, so it's succeeded, and we are through with creating the image and the service. So let's jump onto the portal and see what has happened here. So let's just see. So we don't have a compute yet. We have not configured any clusters. We are only going in the serverless compute mode, which is through Docker containers, and that's the best model. And the image in the deployment that got created, this is the image, test ACI end to end. And the deployment, if you still go and see, there is a compute type ACI called Container Instance. So now this is actually on top of a Docker. So if you see here, this is healthy and this is the URL, and based on this we can kind of just go ahead and do the scoring, but still it gives the models and the images intact. So those are the insights on this. Now let's just jump on back. Now let's try to find the URL and kind of test it quickly. So that's the URL, and based on this, if we were to just go with the predictions, that's the value for predictions that have happened. So yeah, and so we are all good here. Now the important part of containing the final cluster model. So usually the developer will do all this while all of these things, but in the production you would want to kind of configure a compute mode and kind of use one of the ways of either a VM, a virtual machine, or having a Kubernetes cluster would be the right way to and host your models. So in that case you would have to consider adding a compute. So let's just say, let's call this compute, and you can, as you can see, you can go with the Azure Batch AI, the virtual machine, all of this. I mean, earlier you would have to kind of do it separately and would have been a manual AML CLI process, but this is all integrated right here in one place. I can just kind of use any of these, and if you want to understand the details of all of it, you can just jump on the pricing, and this all of the details on the pricing for them is all here. So yeah, I mean, I'll be sharing all of this link at the description of the video. Feel free to kind of should you need it, browse through it. And let's currently just go with AKS, or Azure Kubernetes Service, and just create one. So let's, here if you can see, we can pick a region, let's say East US. Let's just pick a size, a minimal size. So right now, whatever I would have shown you on the pricing side, let's just pick a minimal one. So yeah, just select this, and let's go with one node, and let's just create this cluster, and it will be a one-time activity in a production environment. So if this workspace would have been a production one, we will just do it once. So yeah, this will take maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. I'll be right back once this is configured. Yep, so it says succeeded. The cluster is ready. So as you can see, the cluster, the VM size, all of the details of the cluster is already there. Now this would be your compute. Now with the image, let's try to uh, deploy this in the AKS mode. So let's just select this and create a deployment, and let's call it um, service. That's it. So instead of ACI, we'll say AKS, and we'll use the cluster that we have initiated. So instantiated. Now here you go, you've got, once you try to productionize this on AKS mode, there are a lot of things that you kind of enable. So you can have your AppInsights diagnostics and your model data collection. Even the authentication can be enabled with the keys, and also the utilization, and lots tons of other configurations are possible here. So it opens up a lot of opportunities for productionalizing with security and the scaling part, also with the telemetry, everything kind of in one stop. So you can kind of just do all of it here, and I mean this is really amazing piece of work. So uh, let's just try to create this, and that should create a service for me with this name, and soon we'll be able to kind of use this in our scoring part as a production ready service. So yeah, I'll just be right back once this is configured. It's done, so it's ready. So the deployment has succeeded, and we have the URL and the key available here. So and all of the details are right there for you in terms of utilization and other details. So let's just quickly use the URL and see if we are able to kind of score it here. This is the URL for us, and let me pick the key here. So exactly, and let's give a bunch of values for which we intend to score the glucose. So there you go, that's the value. So that's like building your first model and deploying it end to end. So what you've seen here is from the you created an experiment in an online mode. I could have done the same thing, exact same thing here in my local notebook as well, the one that I kind of used it at the beginning of the experiment. I could have used that in the local mode also to kind of push it on and integrate it with the workspace. Then we kind of created the compute at the end. I mean the cluster. We had the model here, the image, the deployment, and all of this can be kind of backtracked on the workspace in the form of the activities. So everything that we have, every bit that we have done, whatever time that has taken is right here for us. Or whatever we have done. So that's really amazing in terms of the possibilities that kind of it opens up in doing all of this in one space. And earlier in it, at least it was kind of spread out. You could have developed it on the local instance and then kind of integrated it with experimentation services, and then using AZML CLI you would have pushed it onto model management and on the model management portal. So there was a lot of back and forth of work involved. If you would have followed my last playlist of videos of how to use Azure experimentation and model management services, both of it, but this is much clean. This is amazing. I think this will give Google and Amazon, I mean SageMaker, at least a run for their money. So I mean my vote is all in for this. So next, what I would like to walk through is a couple of links just to leave you there. So this is like I've just forked it from Azure GitHub for the machine learning notebooks, which is actively, as you can see, it's actively under development, and it's like 6 days back, and the work has been done. So I mean, I've seen this for one fortnight now, and it's been amazing, kind of exploring the possibilities with all of this work happening in terms of the SDK part, on heavy on Python, and I simply love. I'm a fan of Python. And the price is also here. It's cheap, and it's pay as you go. So you just try your hands, and I'm sure you will like it. And tutorials are out here, all for you to for you to go one by one. And it's not just MNIST here. If you just jump on the GitHub, at least you will find there are 7 to 8 different tutorials available right there for. And there's a tight integration on Databricks, and also the other different options available here. This is a very rich piece of solution and code here for you to kind of explore and understand the different mechanisms of which scenarios in which this is kind of handy. Also the batch kind of in terms of scoring, the batch scoring is also available here. um, then you go the deployment piece. I mean, I could have done the same thing, the model deployment of the final piece with this piece of code. I could have done that, but I just wanted to show you on the portal. Otherwise, that's like a very simple 4 line of Python code, and you should be able to deploy this entire piece with with uh, with Python also. And for all of the SDK details on the functionalities, I think this is a great link to just go over if you're like stuck somewhere. You can just explore this uh, and get to know more about it. Now I just like to quickly evaluate in terms of the features that we kind of reviewed over this video. So yeah, the first one was obviously comparing with the earlier versions of machine learning. There's no more complex switching of and configuring, developing, deploying different Azure machine learning and hops between the experimentation, workbench, model management. All of it is kind of gone. It is a very clean, sophisticated Python SDK, and you kind of can use it in a local or an online mode of development. You can use Azure notebooks, on which you wouldn't have to kind of pip install your SDK, but on your local mode you would have to do that one-time installation for pip install your Python SDK for Azure Machine Learning Core, and then you are like kind of good, all set. uh, Tight integration with the notebooks with, as I said, pre-installed SDK, collaborative kind of development environment, which is kind of, you can just easily, the way I did it, you can quickly clone, you can just share your link on the notebook with someone, and then kind of just clone and develop that, take it from there. So there's a very clean collaboration available, and you can kind of collaborate with your fellow data scientists, work around it. The workspace for running experiments and logging matrix, that's a very clean, again, the graphs that kind of led us to the right model, or the most minimized or optimized model with the minimum MSEs, where that was a very clean and sleek way of doing it, with the hyperparameters, selecting the best ones. Then we come to development and testing with, initially as a developer you might use serverless compute. So ACI is one of the great ways to go around it. And the integrated development environment can be a initially a Docker container, then with the AKS, VM, batch AI, and all of these. There are different. I mean, this platform kind of gives you a different set of, based on your needs. There's scaling possibilities, all of it. Like, you can do that. There is integrated provisioning of clusters. It's a one-time admin activity, and then you are kind of good to go. Databricks integration, again with the Python SDK, you can kind of do your experimentation, and from the Databricks notebook itself, you kind of can work and optimize and productionize your models. And again, the template code, all of it is kind of available. I would encourage you to just go through this GitHub and keep working with different samples. You can ask Microsoft questions, and they're very friendly in terms of supporting you. And I'm sure Azure is a best in class support, free trials, and of course the prices are also reasonable. So that's more like it, friends. I leave it here, and I would just try to call out again. This is a revolutionizing, you know, AI ML platform for you to just go try your hands, play dirty, and use it in your organizations for your AI/ML needs, and I am sure, I assure you, this will be great, and it will offer you some great experience. I would love to hear your comments, and what do you feel, how do you and what are your comments, trying on Databricks, let's say MLflow, your different SageMaker, and whatever you've tried, so on and so forth, so that uh, and I feel this is going to be really great. So do try this, and let me know. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for all your time. And I know this video has been a little lengthy one, but I wanted to cut it short. But I also wanted to give you the rich feel of this new, uh, s- you know, platform that has come up, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.